we may be close to the end of the government shutdown. Now, at least if this New York Times story is correct, and if Senate leaders actually do agree to do this plan. Now, the New York Times is reporting that the Senate will vote on two separate bills on Thursday that would bring an end to the partial shutdown. One is backed by President Trump that includes $5.7 billion for the wall, right? However, there's also another piece of legislation that's going alongside of it that would simply extend funding for the agencies through February 8th. So one is what Donald Trump wants, and the other is just to reopen the government. So this is going through the Senate, which we have an impasse. The House already passed bills to reopen the federal government without border wall funding. So it's important now that we've got the Senate that is also doing that bill to not pass to pass a bill without border funding. And then now they're doing one which does include border funding. So now we can have all the senators on record. So that's pretty interesting, right? Now, the plan, of course, is a compromise by Senator Mitch McConnell and Senator Chuck Schumer. Now, according to the Times, this offers the first hint of a path out of a partial shutdown in its fifth week and has left 800,000 federal workers without pay. Now, Schumer says, quote, people are saying that there isn't a way out of this mess. Isn't there a way to relieve the burden on the 800,000 federal workers not getting paid? Isn't there a way to get government services open first and debate what we should do for border security later? Well, now there is a way. So, look, this is not actually a bad thing. Because what they've done is that they basically separated this. So Mitch McConnell had refused to bring up a bill unless it involved $5.7 billion for the wall, right? So at least now he gets to bring up a bill, and then if it gets shot down, which I think is likely to happen, he can say, hey, I brought it up. I brought it up for consideration. Don't get mad at me, Trump. I was doing exactly what you told me to do. So, and of course, Trump fans, you don't have to get mad at me either, because again, I did what I was supposed to do. I said I will bring a piece of legislation to the floor that has border security. And if it fails, then it fails. Not my fault. It's the rest of the Senate's fault. So that's actually kind of smart. And then, of course, you have the partial funding bill to February 8th. Now, that is not that long of an extension. So if you think the government shutdown, is going to be over, for the short term, sure. But long term, what's going to happen? Now, that's the interesting question about this. What is going to happen if we do pass the second one and still don't have a compromise? I have no idea. Are we going to end up in another shutdown again? And so that's the question. So I don't know. What I see now is that, look, both sides have been unable to budge, unwilling. In fact, Donald Trump, as we're explaining in a later story, has a lot of reasons that he's not going to budge. But basically, he's been embarrassed. He's been painted into a corner. He painted himself into a corner with this ridiculous, demand that he gets funding for his border wall. And now he can't get out of it. And so, yes, this is a stopgap. But ultimately, both sides, I think we're just going to be back here, right to the same place after February 8th. Because I don't see, and I would hope that the Democrats decide, no, we are still not going to give him funding for the wall. Yes, we'll give him something for border security, a couple billion here and there. And I think that money could actually be better served hiring immigration judges and things like that. So that actually be smart. And that would help our border, right? That would help the crisis, the humanitarian crisis. But again, I don't know. I don't necessarily know what's going to happen. So, we'll see if this passes, which one actually passes. Again, if you're, I don't think that the border wall funding bill will pass by itself. Certainly the Democrats will not allow it. But that second one, funding the agencies through February 8th, that's got some promise. But again, I think we'll be back at the same place later. So we're going to have to figure out what to do long term, because Trump, look, he's just going to keep on holding the government hostage until he gets what he wants. That's what Trump is. he's not a politician. He's not a negotiator. He's a hostage taker. And so, again, we'll have to see what happens. But at the very least, this will offer some sort of reassurance and help to the 800,000 furloughed workers. And I guess at this point, that's really all we can do. And that's really all we can hope for, is to help those families. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.